it? Now! What do we want? Justice! When do we want it? Now!
Many of these protesters feel their voice has been left unheard for years. Today, in the wake of appalling tragedy, they came to demand a response. They asked for more support for survivors, more details about how many people were living in the tower, and also more information about the building work that was done to Grenfell Tower.
Everyone wants answers here. We don't know how many people have still been unaccounted for. We need answers. We need to know when things are going to happen. We want to know when people are going to put housing. We need answers now.
The protesters turned their attention to the building, first hammering on the locked doors and then entering the town hall itself. Around 20 police officers came in to clear them, and by then the protest organisers themselves were also asking people to leave the building. If they'd wanted to make a point about anger and frustration, it had already emphatically been made.
The public inquiry that has been promised by the Prime Minister is going to be appointed by and led and appointed by somebody who the Prime Minister appoints. We believe that is not impartial. There must be an independent inquiry and inquest into what led to this gross tragedy that the people of London had to suffer.
There were scuffles, clashes between protesters and security guards, and there is real and growing tension here tonight in perhaps the richest borough in Britain. But this isn't just about fury. It's about a community dealing with grief. Today, the Queen and Prince William visited the sports centre where so many survivors of the fire took shelter.
It's terrible, the voices of the children.
She met volunteers, heard stories and experienced the trauma. Just listen.
So where are you from? Afghanistan. Afghanistan? So how long have you been here?
As she talks to these people, the sound of wailing, of awful despair. Prince William, a Kensington resident himself, has spoken before about the effects of trauma, of the fragility of mental health.
The one thing I'm particularly worried about is everyone's mental health in terms of first responders. You guys are taking out the fire brigade, police, and seeing an awful lot of horrendous stuff in a very short space of time. And I'm very conscious that people are going to be affected by that.
As they left, there were plenty more people who wanted a word, and from the Prince, a promise. "I've got to go," he said. "I will come back." Well, you can't help but be affected by these posters of missing people. This is a community in grief, struggling to come to terms with what's happened. And so the Queen's visit here brought a sense of solace, but it did something more symbolic. It demonstrated that the nation had noticed, that it cared about this tragedy. Now, that might seem obvious, but there are many people here who've told me they've complained for years about safety standards, and they feel that they were ignored. Police have raised the official death toll to 30. Sky News understands the number of missing, feared dead, is actually around 70. A criminal investigation has begun into what caused this inferno.
What we will do from the investigation is we will get to the answer of what has happened and why. That is why the police have taken the lead for the investigation. And if criminal offences have been committed, it is us who will investigate that. As quick as we can, we will be recovering people and ensuring we've got a full search of Grenfell Tower. Sadly, I do believe that those numbers of those that have died will increase, and as soon as we can, we will share that with the families and then indeed the wider community.
Grief, shock and now growing anger. This is a community that wants answers. Adam Parsons, Sky News, Kensington.